The busiest draft weekend for your fantasy football leagues is here, and we at the Deli are ready to bring you some love, hate, and to get your league mates to draft those wrong players and us to give you the right moves. Welcome back into the Deli. Here we go. Welcome in to the DFS Deli. I am the proprietor of this delicatessen, Saleh Ali Shahid, and tonight is it's almost football's eve. We are eight days away from opening kickoff, and this approaching the busiest yearly draft weekend of the year, Labor Day weekend. And I'm pumped. My drafts have concluded, but this is like the highest volume of drafts, and I'm here to get you prepared for them. And I'm joined tonight. Chill, man. My only full-time employee. Chill. How you feeling?
Oh, I still got a couple. I got at least one more redraft coming up here on Tuesday at the old Kent Lane, so I'm pretty pumped for that. I got my Dynasty League draft coming up here on Monday, so got to go take a look at the incoming rookie class a little bit, and that's a great way to stay in shape.
So I've heard. So on this episode, we're giving you some players that we absolutely love at their average draft position and some we absolutely hate at their ADP, and some players I just hate in general, and I think they're trash. So I did my home league last Saturday, and I'm ecstatic. I'm very, very excited for what I'm putting together on the field this year. And unfortunately, if you listen to my last episode, I had to violate one of my own rules. And Chill, you were kind of stunned by that.
I was definitely stunned by that.
Yeah, I drafted the first quarterback off the board. But
I mean, you got your guy, right?
I got my guy.
Isn't that the key to like everything nowadays? People in like real NFL, if that's your guy, go get your guy.
Yeah, I had to go get my guy. It's a 12-team keeper league. Everybody gets to keep two. Dijon this year only kept one. So there's already 23 players off the board. And I draft in tiers, just like I explained that most of you should be drafting when you're doing your own rankings. I tier-based draft. Everybody in my tiers from like tier 1, 2, and 3 for receivers were gone, and tier like 4 and 5 were almost already gone for running back. So I'm sitting in the second round, and I got one tier 1 guy left at the quarterback position. So Josh Allen, welcome to the squad. Last time we were together, we won the championship. So let's see if we can recreate that performance. So I'm ecstatic. You feel like you're ready for your drafts this weekend?
The Dynasty League one, I gotta do a little bit more research on that one. The Redraft League, that's a good league. Again, because like doing drafts in person, as you know, so is a really good time. So, that one I feel ready for. The Dynasty League one, I gotta, you gotta do a little more research on some of these rookies and see what's going on in camp and things like that.
Yeah, I definitely understand. Dynasty is a different beast, but we're here to talk about your standard 10 to 12 team league, half or full point PPR. This also applies to some of those best ball drafts that you're having as well. So a lot of these tips can apply to those, and we want to get you as ready as possible for your redraft leagues. So I'm gonna start a little bit. Actually, all the players that I hate, I don't hate the player unless I specifically say I hate the player. I hate where they're being drafted at. Okay, so let me preface that with that statement. All right, so no keepers, standard draft. I'm going to start at the running back position, and I want to get your opinion on this. I hate Aaron Jones. I don't hate Aaron Jones, the player, as I said. I hate Aaron Jones, the draft position. Normally going at the back of the first round, and obviously people are collecting running backs, like they got a bad Yu-Gi-Oh habit for collecting cards. But Aaron Jones is going above guys that get full workloads. And while I don't doubt the Packers offense, they're, going to be still a top flight offense, even with all the question marks at wide receiver. Their offense is going to flow through Aaron Jones and a guy you can get 4 rounds later in AJ Dillon, which actually brings me to the draft position of AJ Dillon. So I despise Aaron Jones, but I'm all about the ADP of AJ Dillon. He's already came out and said, their coach, this is going to be a 1A type of scenario, as in it looks like they're going to be splitting the bulk of the carries right down the middle. And as we saw last year, it's going to be kind of a hot hand type of deal. AJ Dillon is primarily in on those third down situations, and he could be in on those goal line situations. So if Aaron Jones can't get it between the 20s, those inside the 5 carries, those valuable touches are going to be gone. And you just kind of not wasted a first round pick, but a guy with complete uncertainty around his role. I need more of a 60-40 guy, a 70-30 guy, kind of like what Javonte Williams is supposed to be. But the thing about the difference between Javonte Williams and Aaron Jones is that there isn't 38-year-old Melvin Gordon backing him up. This is a young, spry running back that they trust in this system, directly, not even backing up, but splitting the load completely with Aaron Jones. So I would rather take the 4-round discount on a guy that's going to get the exact same workload and just use my first round pick elsewhere. So there's my first love hate for the running back position. How do you feel about Aaron Jones?
I mean, Aaron Jones traditionally, and now, no, this is when Devontae Adams misses games. I mean, his value goes up tremendously. Now, I don't know how that's going to look with Devontae Adams not on the team, but if we go back to last year, the game where Devontae Adams wasn't there, he had 11 targets for 7 receptions and 51 yards. You know, because we know if Aaron Rodgers likes one thing, man, Aaron Rodgers does not trust his wide receivers. And if he trusts you, you're getting the ball. So, I mean, I do agree for the average draft position that you mentioned. I personally don't like running backs that are splitting carries in that sense. So, I mean, if you're going to get Dillon a little bit in the later rounds, I'm not against it.
Yeah, like I said, these workload splits are kind of what you're banking on in the first round is guys that are taking the majority of the carries. So I wouldn't draft Aaron Jones over DeAndre Swift. I wouldn't draft Aaron Jones over Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, Najee Harris, Saquon Barkley. There's guys that are gonna fall to that back half of the first round because if you're in the top 4, top 5, top 6 picks, you're probably not considering Aaron Jones anyway. But if I were at the back half of the first round, I still wouldn't consider Aaron Jones because there's other guys that I feel could be in more of less of a timeshare and share a similar workload. But like I said, it's not necessarily Aaron Jones. It's you can still get AJ Dillon rounds and rounds later for almost the same workload. So that's my beef. That's my beef with Aaron Jones. Why don't you hit me with a running back or any position for that matter that you just can't stand probably in the first round at ADP?
I mean, let's take a look. Uh, I mean, I'll be the first person to tell you. I mean, this person's right around. I'm probably not drafting Nick Chubb.
Respect, respect. Tell me a little bit about Nick Chubb and why you're avoiding him.
I
Going
mean,
at the back half of the second round right now, early third. So
because at the end of the day, we just don't know what we just don't know what this Browns offense truthfully is going to be. I mean, ideally, he could benefit. I mean, without Watson being in there, they could become more run centric. But like his range of outcomes is just it's so across the board. Like I've never been. I mean, Nick Chubb. I just never been a huge just Nick Chubb guy in terms of fantasy. But like I think there's a couple of these other running backs that would take. I don't think I'm going to take Aaron Jones over Chubb, but like, and I've never been a huge fan, but I'm probably going to take Saquon Barkley over Chubb. That's just kind of the way I look at it. And from what I would think here, I would think those two are kind of going in the same range, give or take.
Yeah, they have similar ADPs. And I feel, and I kind of agree with you on the Nick Chubb thing, is that he faced the same situation as uh AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones. I mean, Kareem Hunt ain't going nowhere.
Nope.
And he's a guy that demands carries. He's a guy that's probably going to be their third down guy. And if you haven't seen this running back room, they have very capable running backs. They kept 5 running backs. You know, we saw Dearness in a spot role, and he basically single handedly won a game. You know, they still got Jerome Ford, who they really, really like. A mid-round draft pick. And I mean, this team, yes, like you mentioned, is probably going to be more run-centric. But at the same time, if I want to get a 60-40 guy, I can wait. I can wait on another 60-40 guy. I can wait another 50-50 guy. And as you know, that Nick Chubb thrives on explosive runs. So he's not we're on the 3-yard line and we're going to hand the ball off to Nick Chubb. No, this guy is a splash play guy, and he hangs his hat on long touchdowns. So as we saw last year, most of the goal line packages feature Kareem Hunt. So if he's going to be another situation where there's valuable touches being taken away by the other guy, I would just rather draft the other guy much later. So I'm with you on the Nick Chubb thing. I'm with you on Nick Chubb.
Agreed. So, I mean, do you want to fight about Cam Akers yet, or?
No. We'll get to Cam Akers because I'm not quite in that round yet. I'm not in the Cam Akers range yet, but I'm gonna get there. Oh, trust and believe, I'm gonna get there. So I'm gonna switch to the wide receiver position, and normally going mid-second round, sometimes late first. And I feel like this ADP has actually crept up a little bit. My wide receiver that I hate at his average draft position is Deebo Samuel. Deebo, like I said, going late first round, kind of, early second to mid second, probably never makes that turn into the third. This guy is banking on long touchdown runs. This man had 9 rushing touchdowns last year, and now they're switching to a rushing quarterback, a more mobile quarterback. I don't think that gadgetry is going to be, it's something that you can't hang your hat on, right? So I would rather not depend on a receiver, because this is your wide receiver 1 that you're drafting him as. He's your wide receiver 1, and he's a bona fide running back. He's what Cordell Patterson wants to be. And he's not like getting inside the 5 carries, inside the 10 carries. These are long touchdown runs, like from outside of the 20, which 8 of his 9 touchdowns were last year. And again, those are touchdown runs. And now we're implementing a more mobile quarterback, a guy that wants to feature the running game, because as you see, San Francisco is a extremely run heavy team. They got Elijah Mitchell healthy. George Kittle may be a regression candidate, but he's still involved. An emerging wide receiver in Brandon Ayuk. I mean, all the signs point to regression. I don't think 9 rushing touchdowns from a receiver is sustainable. And I'm taking this guy at my wide receiver 1. I just can't justify drafting a wide receiver that high. And he's not a wide receiver. He's a gadget guy. So there's other guys that I'd rather have in that range, like a handful of guys. I'd rather take Mike Evans, rather take the shot at Tyreek Hill, DJ Moore, a guy that I love, which, I'm not even going to talk about him yet because I'm going to go on an epic rant about him. He's going to in front of guys
like. Did you say DJ Moore?
Yeah, I'd rather take DJ Moore over Deebo Samuel. Absolutely. I don't care about the quarterback situation. I think Baker will be just fine. But DJ Moore has been a modicum of consistency every year. So I would take DJ Moore over Deebo Samuel if given the choice. I'd rather take a breakout candidate and a guy like Courtland Sutton over Deebo Samuel. But again, if I can get some more consistency in those early rounds, I just can't justify, again, starting my team at wide receiver 1 with Deebo Samuel. I can't do it.
I mean, I mean, I'm not against it. I mean, because like at that point, you're just banking on the rushing touchdowns.
But again, how can you depend on something like that from a wide receiver? That
I
that
don't.
that just screams regression. I don't dislike Deebo Samuel, the player. I just dislike his damn draft position. I'm not drafting you as a first round wide receiver. I can't do it.
So at that point, what is he like the sixth wide receiver coming off the board at that point?
Yeah, according to his ADP, like I said, he's got an ADP late second round. And again,
Uh,
he's going ahead of guys like again, Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown, Keenan Allen,
would he be
right around
ahead?
the same range as
Would he
CeeDee
be?
Lamb. Like
Yeah,
I can't do it.
I would never in a million years take. I mean, I'm probably taking CD Lamb over Debo.
Agreed. 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 So before I get into the wide receiver that I love, is there any receiver at this ADP early round 2, maybe early round 3 that you absolutely are avoiding in drafts?
Um, you said early round two, give or take.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, I kind of mentioned it before. I'm not going to be super high on like a DJ Moore, who I think might be going somewhere in that range. And like, what's your do you are you on this AJ Brown hype with the Hurt Business?
Well, we'll talk about quarterbacks next because you already know I'm in the business. I'm in the hurt business. But as far as that draft position, I'm okay with late third round AJ Brown. Okay. I don't have a problem with that. I am not a fan of late second round AJ Brown. I think he'll be just fine. All the reports out of camp are saying like that's all he's targeting is AJ Brown. AJ Brown. They got I think what is it? AJ Brown is Jalen Hurts' godfather, or the other way around. Jalen Hurts is AJ Brown's kid's godfather, something like that. And I know they got a natural connection, but yeah, I could buy early third round. I can't buy late second round, mid second round for AJ Brown though.
So who would be because you have the ADP and I don't have the ADP. Can you just give me a couple wide receivers that might be going in the same range there?
In which range? Debo's range?
Well, you said like late second, early third.
So you got guys like T. Higgins. That's one of the main ones coming off. Like I said, CeeDee Lamb. Early second round, you got Steph Diggs, Devontae Adams. I mean, there's big bombs still around AJ Brown. Again, if AJ Brown's like a wide receiver 2, like you went wide receiver heavy, then I can totally get behind that.
I can
But
get behind that, yeah, for
but
sure.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a couple of regression candidates around there too. But yeah, those are your big bombs around mid second, early third.
I agree. I mean, like, I guess maybe in terms of like the Debo caliber, I do you just have to have some caution with Tyreek Hill? As much as I love my Dolphins,
I don't understand why. Like, why do we have to have the caution around Tyreek Hill? We know what he is.
I
And
have
I get Tua has, the arm of my 5-year-old daughter, but if anybody can get open frequently and they can scheme him open, it's going to be the Dolphins and Tyreek Hill. I think that Tyreek Hill is actually being undervalued. I mean, this is a first round wide receiver. And I
he
get that, he doesn't have Patrick Mahomes anymore. Completely understand that. But this offense is going to be centered around the guy they acquired. I mean, they're not going to bring in Tyreek Hill and not use him,
I agree, but I guess for me, like, I don't I think Tyreek Hill would be just more of a. I don't think he'd be like a high number one wide receiver. I think he'd be like a low one and a really high two. Like if Tyreek Hill's your main wide receiver, I don't know if that's going to be good enough to win. If you're looking at it in that sense,
Right. I mean, there's other guys I would rather take as my wide receiver 1, but there's no wide receiver with the exception of Cooper Kupp that has the upside that can literally win you a week on his own than Tyreek Hill.
I would probably throw Justin Jefferson in there.
Justin Jefferson will be in there that conversation this year. But I mean, even look at Justin Jefferson's game log from last year. He didn't necessarily win you weeks, but there was some weeks that he completely disappeared.
He's
And it's
got
the
the
same with Tyreek Hill. There's no doubt about that. But again, I think the ceiling on this guy, regardless of who his quarterback is higher than it is when it comes to, other receivers in that area, in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, Justin Jefferson's kind of reminded me of the Julio approach. He has like 5 really good games and then it kind of duds.
Well, we'll get into that talk when we talk DFS because that's coming. But I think Justin Jefferson is going to be, like you said, I 100% agree, in that Julio mode. Either you play him every week or don't play him at all, because you're not gonna be able to pick these spike weeks out. It's the same with Tyreek Hill. Either you play him every week or you don't play the guy at all. I mean, last year I was on the I'm not playing Tyreek Hill bandwagon. Worked out just fine. But this year it could be a little different. I mean, if Tua's going to maintain this job, it's going to be on the cheetah type legs of Tyreek Hill. I'd rather take him.
That's fair.
All right, let's jump over to quarterback real quick. I'm going to give you my love. I'm going to give you my hate. Even though I selected him, my most hated quarterback at his ADP is Josh Allen. Early second round, sometimes late first, as the QB1, obviously, off the board. If you didn't turn into the last episode about why I can't stand drafting quarterbacks, period, let alone early, even though I did. But it's just the way the draft fell to me, okay? I had to adjust on the fly. Right? I already acquired the services of Steph Diggs, so it just made sense to draft Josh Allen. If you're one of those back of the first, early second round, positions, like you're picking from 12 in a 12-team league, right? Full PPR. And Steph Diggs happens to fall to you, you have to make that decision to say, Josh Allen is not coming back. Okay? You're not going to get him at the top of the third round. Even though you should, you're not going to. So the Steph Diggs owner is probably more inclined to draft Josh Allen at that point. But I feel that because, again, the separation between your QB1 last year in fantasy, which was Josh Allen, to your QB16 was an average of 7 points a game. Does not make or break you. Yes, it can be the determining factor between winning games. But at your average draft position, you're using a second round pick when you could have got a stud running back, a potential breakout wide receiver, or any other, or maybe Kelsey falls to you. I don't know. Instead, you picked a quarterback. Let me take the quarterbacks, for example, Saturday, when I drafted 12-team league, full PPR. I drafted Josh Allen first. In the second round, I already had 2 keepers, whatever. I drafted Aaron Rodgers in round 13. So tell me the difference in points per game between what's going to, what Aaron Rodgers is going to have compared to what Josh Allen is going to have. One cost me nothing. The other cost me, well, as Thanos said, everything.
What did it cost?
It cost me my second round pick. So I don't know. I think if you can build a wide receiver heavy team, you can get you a second stud running back at that draft position back into the second round. I would refrain taking Josh Allen at this spot. You can wait on Herbert. You can wait on Kyler Murray. And then you get to the person that I'm completely reaching for. My dark horse for MVP, Jalen Hurts.
Did you say dark horse?
Dark horse.
MVP?
Yeah, you heard what I said. You heard what I said. Bold prediction. Bold prediction. Bold prediction.
Bold
Because
prediction.
there it is.
That's bold.
Yeah, damn right it's bold.
It's bold.
Damn right it's bold. Jalen Hurts, dark horse MVP candidate this year. Stays healthy. The Eagles are winning that division. He's got the Slim Reaper in his second year. They acquired A.J. Brown. They got Dallas Goedert, a potential breakout tight end. The Hurt business. Third-year starter. He already knows what he can do with his legs. But as we saw in the preseason, the man looks sharp. That offense looked fluid. So like you got these guys that will, and I know a lot of people don't take stock in preseason. Completely understand that. But look at the upper echelon of quarterbacks and what they did in the preseason. They came out, dominated their drives, and got the hell off the field. And that's exactly what Jalen Hurts did. There were no question marks. That's exactly what Josh Allen did. No question marks. That's exactly what Patrick Mahomes did. No question marks. Some of these offenses, we know what they are and what they're going to be entered in the season. And they proved it during their preseason games. Then you got teams, not questionable quarterback situations, but team situations that could be completely up in the air. Like, look at the Cowboys. And how bad did that penalty-laden offense look? How do you commit that many penalties in the preseason?
They got no discipline.
They got no discipline, and they got no offensive line because they keep getting hurt.
Yeah, they lost, Tyron Smith, right?
Yeah. So if you think that, Dakota is going to be, like, solid at quarterback, I beg to differ because Dakota is completely tied to CeeDee Lamb, which I don't think CeeDee Lamb is a first-round pick. I don't think CeeDee Lamb is a second-round pick. Could he be, acquire all the targets that are vacated by Amari Cooper's departure? Yeah, of course. But I still don't see it. I honestly don't see it. So you got to take preseason, yes, with a grain of salt, but it does create this blueprint of what is to come. And I think these quarterbacks that are the upper tier quarterbacks, the upper echelon of quarterbacks, are going to be what they are. Great. So I trust Justin Herbert. I trust Josh Allen. I trust Jalen Hurts. I trust Herbert. Mahomes. I trust all these guys. Everyone else is a proverbial question mark. You got Aaron Rodgers' situation with his rookie wide receivers, and if Allen Lazard is going to be your number one guy, then it's like, I don't know. So I'd rather not go in with question marks. I'd rather go in with the known commodities. I'm not looking for I need the writings to be on the wall for Breakout. Like when I selected Jalen Hurts last year at the very end of my draft, I just happened to get lucky and get a top 5 quarterback. But again, it's written on the walls right there. He was a top 5 quarterback last year, and he was still raw. And all they did was add talent. That's all they did. So you want to talk about a breakout? It's written on the walls. It's written in stone, man, that Jalen Hurts could be the guy. So give me that guy in the 5th round. I am more than happy reaching for him. If you took A.J. Brown in like the 3rd, you got a nice pairing, or you can wait for Goddard or the Slim Reaper and Devonta Smith. I mean, there's options. There's options. But I wouldn't waste or use, I should say, because you're not wasting anything on Josh Allen, but use 2nd round capital when you can get a potential the same player or the same fantasy production 3 to 4 rounds later.
Man, these ADP rankings I'm looking at are kind of different than what you got.
Mine is accurate.
I will take your word for it. This I am looking at the good old ESPN at just like their average pick.
I wouldn't trust anything the 4 Letter Network has up.
I don't blame you, but this is what I got to go off of for now. This has got it's got your boy Josh Allen as like the 43rd pick.
I can assure you that's inaccurate. Could you imagine Josh Allen going into the 4th round?
I mean, but I think you also got to look at it too. Like, if you're looking at your viewers too, like, or the listeners, I should say. What do you think a quarterback goes in your average, draft class where you might only have like 2 people that know what they're doing in terms of fantasy football?
Well, at that point, I mean, yes, you have to know your league mates, of course. There's a difference between like your casual crowd and your more hardcore crowd. But as far as the way I draft, as far as the way that everyone else should be drafting, you should be drafting as an advanced player.
Agreed.
So I don't care what your competition is doing. I care about what you're doing. Okay? So please take the advice I give you. Take the advice Chill has. Take the advice Baker has. Like, these are people that have won multiple championships in their league. We know what we're doing. Okay. So if we have certain players that I feel high on this year, you'll hear a consensus about them as well. So if you listen to other podcasts, if you listen to any of the popular YouTubers, etc., you'll hear some of these same names repeat itself, and you'll hear these bold predictions repeat itself. Once you feel out the commonality between those players, then somebody is on to something. And I feel that you should take that advice more to heart than, again, what I put on the don't do's list of drafting is go to some generic website, print out a top 200 list, and then start marking off players, and the guy that's next up, that's who you pick. That is the worst way to draft, period.
Yeah, don't go with the 4-letter network.
Yeah, I'm not about that. I'm not about that life. So, do you
I don't
have
think-
any quarterbacks that you're reaching for, or just flat out aren't drafting this year in your home leagues?
I mean, again, it would take a lot for me to reach for one of these guys. Like, if I'm gonna reach for any quarterback, which I'm just gonna flat out tell you, it'd be like a 2%. I'm probably gonna reach for Herbert. That would probably be the only quarterback because I'm like you. I'll get my guy in the 10th round.
Sure.
So, like, if it fell and like I'm getting Herbert at a ridiculous price, then I'll probably reach for Herbert over guys like Lamar, Kyler, Jalen Hurts, Dak.
You're gonna
So
regret that Jalen Hurts one, buddy.
I don't think so because I think
I got.
I think, and then honestly, I mean, somebody, I've been doing, just a couple mock drafts and looking at somebody that usually that keeps falling to me at will is would be my dark horse MVP, and that'd be Russell Wilson.
Okay, all right. Tell me a little bit about Russell Wilson and why you feel like this Denver offense is like primed to break out.
They. You look at the offense. I mean, it's nothing but talent around them. I mean, if we're going with these trends, because that's what I tend to do. Tom Brady joins a pre-made created team, wins the Super Bowl. Matt Stafford joins a pre-created team, wins the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson, who somehow in his career has never gotten an MVP vote, not one time. It's got all this talent around him, has a running game. I mean, Denver's defense, I think, is highly underrated as well. Wide receivers around him with Sutton, Judy. I just really like Russ here. And Russ always has a little bit of rushing upside. Not as much as what he used to, of course, but I mean, he's definitely going to sneak in a couple rushing touchdowns. And then you got Javonte Williams there. This is going to be one of the better offenses that he's had in a long time. And in a division where you're going to have to score.
Yes. Big facts.
So, I mean, and then truthfully, if I'm really just saying, screw it to quarterbacks, like, is there anything wrong with just throwing out Trey Lance? Like, if you're just saying you ain't drafting a quarterback at all, like, wouldn't Trey Lance then be your guy?
Well, I think Trey Lance he's a riser. He's his ADP is rising because I think they see this. I think they see what Jalen Hurts was last year. Kind of a raw quarterback. He's entering his second year. He's got the keys to the Cadillac, and he does have weapons. I mean, again, he has Deebo's rushing. He has a good rushing game. He has a veteran tight end. He has, again, a breakout candidate in Brandon Ayuk. And I think that Trey Lance is one of those guys where he's actually going past his ADP because people are going to reach for that breakout potential because, again, they saw what Josh Allen was 2 years ago. They saw what Jalen Hurts was last year. And the writing is on the wall for a guy like Trey Lance. I mean, these pocket passers, you know what you're getting. So you could literally lump Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, Matt Stafford, Kirk Cousins in the same bowl.
You
And
probably
you can
throw
pick one out and you're
you
fine.
probably throw Derek Carr in there as well. I mean,
Derek Carr, sure,
I
sure,
mean,
sure.
Derek Carr had like what 4,800 passing yards, 30 something touchdowns, and nobody's even gonna bat an eye.
Yeah, because he really made no impact on the fantasy community. He was just a guy. Like I said, I think all those guys are just guys. But if you add in that rushing upside, especially if you're a 4 point per touchdown passing league and a 6 point rushing touchdown league, those guys that can provide with their legs are more valuable than most of the pocket passers, unless you're going to get an exorbitant amount of passing yards and passing touchdowns, a la Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. I mean, like those guys are going to have the numbers, Joe Burrow to a lesser extent. Those guys are going to have the numbers to compensate for their lack of rushing. So if I'm between guys like, I don't know, Russell Wilson and Trey Lance, I'm more, apt to take Trey Lance over a guy like Russell Wilson because again, he might be in that same basket. I don't think Russell Wilson can get to the upper tier of passing, and he certainly can't do it with his legs. I mean, he is a mobile quarterback, but he's not a rushing quarterback. He's not Lamar. He's not Kyler. He's not Jalen Hurts. So if I'm going to be out of that tier of guys and I'm sitting around in like the 8th, 9th, 10th round, and Trey Lance is still there, I'm taking Trey Lance. But at that point, if a guy like Trey Lance is gone, I will settle for Russell Wilson. But again, if Russell Wilson is going to be the same guy, he's the same guy as Aaron Rodgers. He's the same guy as Dak Prescott. He's the same guy as Matt Stafford. There's not going to be an extreme amount on one end or the other compared to his passing touchdowns compared to the other guys' passing touchdowns, especially if they're going to be as run heavy as they were last year. Not saying Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy can't break out and be serviceable, borderline wide receiver ones, high end wide receiver twos. But again, he's in that same basket as 4 or 5 other guys.
My only argument to that would be is they are going from a defensive head coach to an offensive head coach, and I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're going to clearly see that the Seahawks are going to lose this picking Pete Carroll over Russ thing. I mean, we're already seeing it with New England. So into like and in today's NFL, defensive head coaches, there's like 2 good ones. It'd be like Mike Tomlin and then the coach for the Bills.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, other than that, all of these teams who've had defensive head coaches, they often finish last in their division. And I mean, this is going to be Russell Wilson's first time with an offensive head coach who's honestly, quote unquote, is going to let Russ cook a little more.
Ah, yes, the days of letting Russ cook. Yes,
right. Because we had Pete Carroll that's like, nah, man, let's run it.
Let's run it.
So I mean, because like I said, these teams that have had defensive head coaches, like for now, the trend is they don't work.
I mean, again, I could agree with that. And I think that his offensive numbers will be just fine. It's just, again, I just feel like he's lumped in with a bunch of other guys.
So, I
There's
mean,
no
like,
separation.
I think he'll separate. But, I mean, like,
And I respect your opinion. Absolutely.
I mean, Trey Lance is, let's face it. So, Trey Lance's ceiling is RG3, right? RG3 year 1, that's the ceiling.
That's a pretty good ceiling, bro.
And then what's the floor?
Geno Smith.
That's the floor.
No, not the floor. Not the floor. That's the basement. That's the basement. The floor would be
year 1 Jalen Hurts at that point.
Year 1 Jalen. Well, no, because he didn't really have that many starts. So, I don't know. It's hard to compare him to a mobile quarterback because let's say like year 1 Josh Allen.
Okay.
Flashes. There's some flashes. There's like, holy crap, he could be good, but he needs work. I think that's his floor, where you're going to get some games where you're like, oh man, I'm about to destroy this league. And then another week he'll get you 12 points and you'll go, ah, shit.
Right.
Well, there's that. So.
I I mean, I guess we'll address this. Do you tell any of these? Do you just leave Deshaun Watson alone, or do you?
Do not draft Deshaun Watson. Moving on.
Fair enough.
So you and I disagree. We'll go back to the running back position for a second because I've got a breakout, and I think your breakout differs from my breakout. So tell me why Cam Akers is your guy this year.
I just think I truly believe for where he's getting drafted, I truly believe it's a steal. I think he's going late third, like almost early fourth. The
Yeah,
last time I
that
wrote,
sounds about right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, it truthfully, like, again, it depends on how you draft. If you're somebody who does the no running back strategy, or maybe you draft a good running back and then you're going to try and get your elite wide receiver. Like, to me, Cam Akers' ceiling is finishing in the top 10 for running backs. I mean, he's on one of the best offenses in the NFL. I know they didn't run a lot in the red zone, but like, what else are you supposed to do with Sony Michelle and Devery Henderson, or was it
Daryl
Daryl
Henderson Jr.
Devery? Come on, Devery, bring Devery back. Give me.
Yeah, I was going to say you had the right team. Like,
um, but I mean, like, I understand why they wouldn't run it that much. But I mean, they believed in him enough to bring him back early from an ACL injury for the playoff run. I mean, you try to come back from an ACL injury in record time and try and be successful against good playoff teams. It probably ain't gonna happen. Um, so he's got a full season to get. He was already semi-healthy coming back for the playoffs, so he has even more time to get healthy. And the last time this dude was healthy, he was getting drafted in the top 10, from what I
he was a
remember.
breakout candidate before he got hurt. I mean, like
Right,
they
like
gave him the
everybody, like, so if you're gonna give me the starting running back on a really good offense, I think the fact that he's being, if you get Cam Akers in the fourth round, to me and he turns out to be running back 9 or 10, you're probably winning your league.
Yeah, I mean, I can get behind that. I just can't get behind the timeshare. Daryl Henderson Jr. is still a thing. He's a trusted member of the offense. And those are the only two running backs they got. Those are the only two running backs that are touching the ball. They brought in Allen Robinson to add to this passing attack. And
But
if they're
I
going to
mean,
be,
Cam Akers was still in that breakout potential when it was Robert Woods. Allen Robinson is just a better version of Robert Woods. Let's be
I can get
real.
behind that. I can get behind that. Absolutely. Absolutely. But, not saying that because of the Stafford elbow injury, they're going to be passing more, but it is on his, non-throwing elbow. And Matt Stafford's always hurt. So, I mean, this is how he lives his life.
Yes, agreed.
Right. So I can get behind the Cam Akers thing. I just can't get behind the timeshare thing. But one guy that probably isn't going to be in a timeshare is my breakout candidate for this year, Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds takes over the number one role in Miami. We saw when they hand the keys over to a bell cow running back, that running back is normally productive. I mean, we saw what Duke Johnson did in this offense at the end of last year. And whoa, if this is going to be Chase Edmonds, it's going to be a spectacular spot. You're looking at a guy that's getting drafted at the beginning of the 8th round with a potential RB1, breakout candidate. Stars are aligning for him. The only guy that's backing up is Raheem Mostert, who they brought in, and we all know the injury history with Raheem. So
you're not worried about Raheem and the San Francisco connection?
I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that at all.
I don't know, man.
I am more concerned about getting Chase Edmonds 13 to 18 touches a game, and every time he's been in that range, he's been a top 7 RB. Now, in order to get that opportunity, he had to get the keys to the Cadillac. And with this Miami offense, especially with, like I said, noodle arm Tua Tagovailoa, this is a guy that could be in an offense that could be a top 10 to 12 offense. So if I'm going to take a guy who's going to get receiving work, which he always has, who's going to be in a prolific offense, who added weapons to the offense, I gotta roll with this guy. The only thing is that, unfortunately, he does get like Buffalo twice a year, but he also gets the Jets twice a year. So I mean, there are games that he's gonna be an RB1 potential for you. Then there's gonna be games where he's gonna have to rely, especially in a PPR setting, his receiving acumen, and he's proven that over the years. So I 100% do not mind reaching for a guy like that with the potential to be a top 10 RB. Okay. And this is a guy that's completely falling in leagues like the zero RB guys. That's normally their RB1. And I don't have a problem with that. I have zero problem with that. So if he's going to be a high end RB2 at worst, at his ADP at beginning at the 8th round, I can get behind that. I'm going to ride that train all the way to a playoff berth and a potential fantasy playoff for sure. That's my spiel on Chase Edmonds.
I'm not against the Chase Edmonds look, but I think I truly believe, man, if Raheem Mostert is healthy and he proves it, I think Chase might become the third down back or the receiving back out of there. I mean, and plus it's these players magically stay healthy in contract years. It's kind of weird.
Funny how that works.
It's funny how that works, doesn't it? And I do believe it's a contract year for Raheem. Obviously knows the scheme from McDaniel coming over from San Francisco. So, I mean, at that point, would you advise if you take Edmonds to try and steal Raheem like late?
Well, you know me. I don't draft handcuffs.
I actually didn't know that you didn't draft handcuffs.
Well, you didn't listen to my first episode then, buddy. Because I'm not about that handcuff life.
That's fair. I normally don't draft handcuffs either.
And if you haven't listened to the first episode on Draft Strategies, go ahead and listen to the first episode of the DFS Deli, available now on your favorite podcasting streaming services. Just go ahead and do that. And while you're at it, smash a like on this one. I mean, go ahead, take 2 seconds. I'll wait. I appreciate it. So we got a little under 10 minutes left.
Okay.
I want your bold prediction, a guy that you want on your squad. Who's going to lead fantasy points at the 3 key positions?
At the 3 key positions. But
quarterback, wide receiver, running back.
Can we actually touch on one thing?
Sure.
This would probably be more or less if you're drafting in a 12-team league.
Okay.
Do not draft Travis Kelsey in the first round.
You're not about the regression candidate in Travis Kelsey?
I'm not even worried about the regression, but like, do you know if you Travis Kelsey would be what is he, like 30 something, right? 33.
He's in his 30s. I think he's 34 now.
So he would be the oldest drafted player in the first round for fantasy football since Randy Moss.
Did Randy Moss do anything that year?
He became a Titan.
Oh shit. Well,
so again, me personally, I would not draft Travis Kelsey in the first round, or I don't. Actually, I'm probably not going to draft Travis Kelsey at all. I mean, he would have to fall like super late second round for me to even. For me to even
get him out of value, sure.
Because I think at this point, I would rather draft Mark Andrews or Kyle Pitts.
I respect that.
So that's kind of just a little. Again, normally I don't touch tight ends like quarterbacks, but all right. So to get back to the 3 key positions.
Yes, who's going to be your leader in fantasy points this year at the quarterback position? Who are the guys that you want our listeners to make sure they draft this weekend in their home leagues?
So I'll be a little different here. I'm gonna go Herbert. I'm gonna go Herbert at the 1.
All right, Herbert, solid pick.
I'm gonna go Herbert at the 1. I'm gonna go Josh Allen at the 2, and then I'll go Patrick Mahomes at the 3 for quarterbacks.
And you're okay with all their draft positions? Like, you would be okay drafting Herbert in the 3rd. Patrick Mahomes has been free falling a little bit, so he's actually becoming in that value range. Honestly, top of the 4th. And then obviously, Josh Allen is a high second round, late round pick.
Those would be the only 3 quarterbacks I would break my rule on.
I respect that.
And I think where all three of them are going are fine, especially since you did say like if Patrick Mahomes is dropping, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how does a guy like that drop? I don't care what weapons he has around him. You can go get somebody from the grocery store that he could throw to. I don't care.
I respect that. My guys, I think is obviously number one is going to be Josh Allen for me. I think Josh Allen is my actual MVP pick for this year, and I think this Buffalo offense is going to be 100% historic. I'm talking one of the greatest offenses of all time, and I'm not saying that because I have a bias. I'm saying that because a quarterback entering this year is normally hitting their stride, hitting their peak. I think we could see 50 touchdown Josh Allen. I honestly think we do.
Is
An
that
emerging
is that 50 combined or is that like 50 through the air?
passing.
Okay, so that's not even including the rushing
That's not even
touchdowns.
including rushing.
So if you're going shit, you could 60 touchdowns. You probably take 10 rushing. You never know.
I could say 10, but I'd err on the side of caution because I think he's going to be more of a drop back passer this year. But I think this offense wants to operate in a 70-30 type of clip. And if he's throwing that way, then with an emerging Isaiah McKenzie, an emerging Gabe Davis, a solid, number one option in Steph Diggs, I think honestly this offense will be 100% historic. And if you're okay with the high draft capital that you have to pay for Josh Allen, especially if you have another bill to pair along with that, you want a piece of this offense. Like, let me be very clear. When you're drafting, you want a piece, if not two pieces, of this Buffalo Bills offense. I don't care if you do it through the running game. I don't care if you do it through the receiving game. This offense is going to be historic, and you need a piece of it. Secondly, I'm going with Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts, like I said, my dark horse MVP candidate. Got to go with him. The rushing upside, the additional weapons, potential breakout candidates in Dallas Goedert, and the Slim Reefer, Devontae Smith, and obviously adding AJ Brown is not going to hurt your offense. Hurt anyway.
I will. I'll give you this one. I'll just go out for a bold call here. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to finish close to being a top 10 quarterback.
I'm okay with that.
That'll be my bold
But
call.
you didn't add all those weapons for nothing. Contracts aside, you didn't add those weapons for nothing.
And I don't think. I mean, like I understand the man threw a lot of interceptions, but so did a lot of people when they first started. And like, I don't care who you are, man. With all that stuff going on with Urban Meyer, he had no chance.
I get it.
And now he gets Doug. And now he gets Doug Peterson. Come on.
Yeah, I agree. And I think my third place finisher is going to be Justin Herbert. Once again, I think those are my three guys that I would be targeting in drafts. Herbert, nothing but fire around his offense. If Mike Williams can stay healthy, Keenan Allen is just the modicum of consistency when it comes to the wide receiver position, and they got a lot of backs that they can disperse all over the field to succeed for Herbert. And again, like you mentioned before, in a division that you got to score points.
Absolutely.
You got to score points in the West. So those are my three guys. We can move on to the running back position. Hit me. Your top three scorers at the running back position this year.
Well, I'll just toss out a quick question because this will be a question just for people that might be in a redraft league. You got pick one. Are you drafting Jonathan Taylor or CMC?
Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, you're gonna go Taylor.
Yep. And
I think so am I, but I think it's a lot closer than what I'm gonna give credit for.
I say that for one reason, and that's because of competition. So, I mean, you look strictly at their division, and you get Jacksonville twice, Tennessee twice, and Houston twice. Like, those are going to inflate your numbers regardless of who the rest of your opponents are. I think this Carolina team is not good, but CMC is great. And when CMC is on the field, he is, your number one fantasy back. But over the course of a season, injuries aside, of course, if all things were equal and there are no injuries are turned off, when you're simulating Madden or something like that, injuries are off. I think CMC is your guy. But remember, if I say this, he gets hurt, you got a problem. Like, I don't know many playoff teams that were in the playoffs despite picking CMC number one. Again, you can't win your fantasy draft in round one, but you sure as hell can lose it. Like I mentioned before. And I think CMC carries that extra risk, whereas Jonathan Taylor does not. So I gotta take the guy who led the league in inside the 5 carries and didn't even convert at a high clip. Could you imagine if he converts more of those inside the 5 opportunities? Like this is the guy. I mean, this is the guy. So if I got the 1-on-1, I'm taking JT. I'm going to be salty that CMC goes somewhere else, but I'm not going to be mad that I took Jonathan Taylor. I'm just not.
I think, man, I think I would rather just have pick 2 and just pick the guy that's left.
Let somebody else make the decision for you. I
Yeah.
respect that.
I mean, top 3 running backs. I mean, we could just go super cliche here. I mean, I'm gonna go Jonathan Taylor at the 1. I mean, it's Jonathan Taylor. Just add the cart. I mean, I'm gonna put CMC at the 2. I mean, again, this guy doesn't even need to score touchdowns to have double-digit games. You know, for these games that he comes back from injury, I don't think he's like scored below like 20 that I can remember.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you.
So I mean, like, and again, let's preface it: any running back can get hurt at any time.
Yes.
I mean, like, obviously CMC's been hurt the past 2 years. And in terms of RB3 here, that one becomes super intriguing, right? Because like, I'm not gonna put Cam Akers up there. That'd be like a lot crazy.
Be bold. Be bold, man. Relax.
Not
Relax.
not at RB3. You know, and I'll probably just preface this: if Trubisky is the starter for most of the season, I'm going to put Najee Harris at the 3.
That was my other consideration, actually.
I'm going to put him at the 3 because I think they want to reduce Austin Eckler's workload a little bit. And I mean, again, as much as you and I love King Henry, it's just it's if it's Trubisky, I'm willing to put him at the 3. Now, again, if they start Pickett, I don't know if Kenny Pickett's going to be looking at running backs out of the backfield. You know, we know Big Ben couldn't throw it more than 3 yards, and a lot of people seem to forget that when Trubisky had Tyreek Cohen, he threw to him a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll put Najee at the 3.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and I won't say anything bold because I honestly agree with you. You know, especially in PPR scoring, King Henry doesn't have that fallout to rely on the receiving game, whereas Najee Harris does. So if there's going to be a lot of additional points with his receiving role, I think he's going to vault up rankings regardless. So I picked King Henry over Najee Harris in my past draft only because bias. So, but if I were not biased, if I were not a King Henry fan, if that wasn't my favorite running back in the NFL, I would have took Najee Harris because he has a fallback. He has that receiving role. And again, if it is Trubisky the entire year, I feel that Najee, he gets the inside the 5 carries. He gets all the receiving work. This guy, it's opportunity over everything. And albeit he was inefficient last year because his yards per carry were trash because that offensive line was trash, we're still talking about a top 5 running back in PPR based off his receiving. So I'll go JT, no injuries with Christian McCaffrey, and Najee Harris at the number 3 spot. Let's wrap it up with receivers so the rest of our listeners know who are they targeting at receiver this year. Who do they have to leave their draft with at the pass catching position?
I mean, I don't know how you defer from the top 3, right? I kind of feel like
I do.
I mean, Cooper Cup's 1, Justin Jefferson's 2. I mean, honestly, I think the only guy I could put here at the 3, other than Jamar Chase, would be Steph Diggs.
You hit it, baby.
That would be the only guy. That would be the only guy I could put at the 3, because I'm probably still taking Cooper Kupp and Jefferson over Diggs, but I would consider Diggs over Chase, Adams, and Deebo.
Without question. And yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. So my number one is going to be touchdown regression candidate. Well, I should say progression candidate. Again, if I believe that this Buffalo Bills offense is going to be historic, it's going to be based off the guy that's led the NFL in targets the past couple years. And you want to talk about inside the 20 opportunities when it comes to end zone targets, red zone targets. Steph Diggs leads those categories. He just didn't convert. So if he starts converting those this year, there is no reason why he can't be a double-digit touchdown scorer, lead the league in receptions, lead the league in touchdowns, lead the league in yards. This is a triple threat type of guy on when, again, I believe is going to be a historic offense. So in my normal draft, would I take Steph Diggs over Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, and to a lesser extent, Jamar Chase? Jamar Chase would be debatable, but I'm not taking him, over the consistency over Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson. But if I'm going to say minor breakout potential with the not expectation, but the potential to be the number one overall receiver, if I'm at the bottom of a draft in that first round, I have no problem taking Steph Diggs. Zero, none. So I'm going Steph Diggs with one. I can't discount how great Cooper Kupp is. So I have to say the two for Cooper Kupp. And as bad as I want to say a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson, remember, Justin Jefferson is competing with his own offense as well. Adam Thielen isn't going anywhere. They got a breakout candidate in Irv Smith. You already know what their backfield is capable of with Dalvin Cook. And that defense is absolute trash. So they're still going to be throwing a lot in games. Justin Jefferson will be one of those on the outside looking in type of guys. I think he has top 5 potential, but as far as what I think is going to finish at the top 3, I think he's right on that edge looking in. And I'm going to shock you with number 3. I'm going to shock you a little bit. You ready?
Amari Cooper.
Michael Pittman Jr.
Oh, stop it, dude. As somebody who played Matt Ryan habitually, stop it.
No. Listen to me as hard as you can. Okay. Look at the healthy Matt Ryan years and what he targets his number one receiver as. We got guys that finish in the top 10 as a Falcon, minus last year. Every year he has been the starter. There has been a Falcon in the top 5 receivers. He hyper-targeted Julio Jones. He hyper-targeted Calvin Ridley. He hyper-targeted, what's the guy before him? Why can't I remember his name? Younger guy. Well, obviously Matt Ryan was young before Julio, but he's always produced top 5 guys.
Are you talking about Roddy White?
Thank you. Roddy White.
Bro, Roddy White.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Roddy White. So look what he turned Roddy White into. Even, again, to a lesser extent, look what Russell Gage did at the end of last year.
So
this is a top 10 receiver, and Russell Gage is ass.
I will play devil's advocate here. The Falcons.
You may.
So what? Matt Ryan's best running back the entire time he was there was who? Devontae Freeman.
Yeah, Devonta Freeman. I would say Devonta Freeman for sure.
Okay, so there's no Jonathan Taylor there, like not even close.
I mean, I agree.
Like how far of a step up is Matt Ryan to Carson Wentz?
Huge.
You think it's big?
Yeah, Carson Wentz is ass. He's ass.
Because I don't even think Carson Wentz is that much of a step up from Taylor Heineke, but that's just a different conversation.
I mean, that's a different debate for a different day.
But I don't think. I mean, because like, so do you think he's going to be that much better than when they had Phillip Rivers?
Yes.
Hey, fair enough, man. Sure, literally your show.
Again, this guy and Matt Ryan hyper targets wide receiver ones. This could be compared to almost what I feel is an Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams situation. There is 0 people that he trusts. Like a rookie wide receiver is their wide receiver too. Paris Campbell is trash.
Bro, Paris Campbell.
Okay. They don't have a serviceable tight end. So it's literally give ball Jonathan Taylor, throw ball Michael Pittman Jr.
Man, I hope you're right. As somebody who who lost a lot of money on Michael Pittman last year, I hope you're right.
But again, this was last year, and he still broke out last year. He was very, very solid. And this was behind bad quarterback play. So again, entering another year, entering with a new quarterback, if there's anybody with the potential to exceed their ADP because he's been a riser. There's no doubt about that. This Michael Pittman thing is not a secret to anyone. But I think he can enter feasibly this upper echelon of receiver that has been established by Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Jamar Chase. Like, would you count on who would you consider more of a breakout candidate? Somebody that's got hyper-focused offense like Indianapolis, or a guy like CeeDee Lamb who's going above Michael Pittman right now? We're assuming this role. We're assuming this role for CeeDee Lamb. We're talking about the guy that led the league in drops.
I mean, I was about to mention.
And he gets more targets now? Like, again, he can't catch.
I mean, the only thing, you know what would hurt CeeDee Lamb? If they actually started Tony Pollard at running back, right?
Oh, big time.
No, I mean, I would kind of, I mean, in the, where he's going versus the wide receivers around him, I would agree, right? Because, like, you'll take a Michael Pittman over a DJ Moore. I think I would take Michael Pittman over AJ Brown. Some of these other guys, I would definitely take him over Deontay Johnson. Scary.
Would you take CeeDee Lamb over Michael Pittman right now?
Me, yes, I would.
Why? Again, you're playing devil's advocate with me. You know, right. I just want to hear the side of it.
I think the Colts are a better football team. I think it's going to be more run centric. I don't think the Cowboys are going to have much of anything of a run game. That, like, I have no faith in Zeke. I think it's been well established on the show how you and I both feel about Zeke. And, like, I don't think that and, like, Dallas's defense is not good.
Correct.
So, like, and again, we talk about divisions. He does play the Giants twice. Obviously, Michael Pittman has an easy division as well. But so does CD. I think there's more opportunities for CD than Michael Pittman. Now, the safer pick might be Michael Pittman, but I think CD has the higher ceiling, but definitely the lower floor.
I respect your opinion, albeit it's wrong.
That's fair. that's completely fair.
I cannot wait till we talk about DFS and our week 1 plays, because you best believe Michael Pittman will be ranted about again as the ultimate leverage play on that slate, and it's not close.
So you're fading Jonathan Taylor?
You best believe I'm fading Jonathan Taylor. On FanDuel at 10-2, I get Michael Pittman for 7-1. Please. That's easy coin, fam. Come on, man. That's another show. That's another show for another day. And we will be talking about it very soon. Football is upon us, my friend, and I cannot be more excited.
If we're ranking tight ends real quick, I'll probably go Andrews at the 1, Pitts at the 2, Kelsey at the 3.
You like Pitts this year, huh?
I do. I think Marcus Mariota is just going to pepper that man with targets. I understand he only caught 1 touchdown last year, but, like, there's nobody left. They're going to be throwing a lot. There's going to be a lot of garbage time opportunities for Kyle Pitts.
I'm going to go ahead and just agree with you, and I'm going to say one tight end to not draft. I'm just going to put one tight end on that list. It's Darren Waller. Don't touch him with a 10-foot pole.
Actually,
just don't do it.
Actually, I would go opposite on that team. If I was going to not draft a wide receiver, I'm not drafting Hunter Renfrow. I think that screams Peyton Hillis.
Not Peyton Hillis, no. Oh, not Peyton.
I don't know, man. I have no faith in Hunter Renfrow. I hope I'm wrong.
I mean, for your sake, I'm wrong too, but we'll see. All right, well.
What about kickers? We're drafting some kickers, huh?
Our league abolished kickers, and it was the greatest decision that our league commissioner Baker has ever made.
I disagree. Kickers are part of the team.
Bleep kickers and everything.
They're part of the game, bro.
Not a part of my game. That's why does FanDuel have kickers?
Listen.
Does DraftKings have kickers?
Listen, it's fantasy.
Exactly. It's part of fantasy. They're not a part of fantasy.
Showdown. Kickers.
Okay. You're right. You're right. I'm gonna go ahead and hold this L.
Showdown. I get a defense. Well, I mean, I get defense in normal, but
right, exactly. So yeah, all right, showdown.
Showdown.
Fuck kickers and everything they stand for. Take anything away from this show, fuck kickers.
That's fair.
Anyway, I think we go ahead and turn off the grills now, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I'll grab the bucket.
Got me riled
Baker,
up.
I looked on my desk. I didn't see any notes from Baker. So
yeah, I didn't see any show notes from Baker. So
yeah,
I mean,
nothing from Studer or Baker. So
yeah, no show notes. Yeah, so whatever opinions they have, they can hold it.
Yeah, again, like I said at the beginning of the at the show, no call, no note.
It's a shame. Well, we'll be back to work soon, Chill, because our week 1 plays are coming up here at the DFS Deli. I'm very excited to start gambling, win some money. Look forward to everybody's positive results in their redraft leagues this weekend. Best of luck to you all. And please make sure to join us next week for the week 1 slate. Holy it's here. It's almost here. This is Christmas, Chill. Week 1 is Christmas.
I mean, basically.
It's incredible. So make sure to subscribe and leave a like on the way out. We're going to go ahead and close up the shop. And as usual, we'll see you all at the top. Thanks for listening.